a big pleasure for me to be here. Usually, we in Germany, we look at the United States to find out new trends. We in Germany, we have some strange attitudes. For example, on Sunday, it's state law that the stores have to close. So there are some strange things happening in my country, but it's a big industry country. It's the third biggest industry, third biggest country, economic in the world. So I hope there are good reasons also to look at what's happening in Europe and what new ideas are coming from there. In my talk, I want to focus on new target groups, that we analyzed and a study we recently did. From CommuniTeens to Greyhoppers is the title of my talk here, and I want not to point at each of these target groups, but I want to point out very interesting ones. Well, the future society is a society of individuals, of experimental lifestyles. So the main result of our study is it is normal to be unnormal. So if you think you are unnormal, if you think your own lifestyle is kind of bizarre, so don't worry, you are not alone. Well, that's my father. I'm kidding. Thanks God, it's not my father. But as you can see, some people want to look like a tiger, and some persons fulfill this vision. If you want to look like a tiger, that's Richard Carson. It's a US citizen. Most US citizens are not like him, but if you look at how many tattoos these days people have, then you see that the wish, the longing for self-expression and to demonstrate individuality is very strong. So his example indicates that there's a worldwide trend going on leading to an era of individuality. And that's a worldwide trend that brings up new lifestyles, that brings up very specific target groups also. And as you can see on that chart, on that slide, all over the world, the value of individualism is rising. Even in countries where you probably not have thought that this is the case. In Saudi Arabia, in China very strongly, Brazil. And especially powered by the megatrend of stronger and better education of women, that women are driving businesses. This trend towards individuality is going on and on. And design can make a difference. Design can have meaning. Design can create a meaning if it helps to express and if it helps to live a life that reflects your individual ideas. This is one very good design, I think, that makes a bridge between traditional lifestyles and modern culture. It is the burkini. It's swimwear, which is presented by Australian designers for today's Muslim woman. So for women which have a strong tradition, which are linked to their tradition, to their traditional culture, but who does not want to reject the pleasures of beach life, of modern beach life. And I'm sure for these women, it's a great help. It's a big help to be on the beach, to have sporty swim pleasures that they hadn't before. So this should be the beginning of my talk. It should be the beginning of focusing, of pointing out a new era of individuality. This new era has reached a new dimension. It has reached a new dimension because powerful trends are promoting this development. Of course, it was the internet who gave people a speech, who gave people a voice, who wasn't heard before. It was the internet that gave people the power to change from the passive user to the active producer. And we see it in all segments of business. We see it in the news business, that people are writing their own articles We see it very strongly in the field of consumption, where customization of products is a new product paradigm. A very good example and a very good design experience, I think, is what Puma did with the Puma Mongolian shoe barbecue. They linked their offer to a design experience people have in a restaurant, where they go to a buffet and picking all the things they want to eat. And it's the same that's happening here. So first you choose your colors, then you choose the forms of your shoe, and in the end you have your personalized shoe. You have it in the store, you also have it in the internet, so it's the same platform if you do it online or if you do it offline. And after 3 weeks, you get your personalized shoe. And for me, very surprising is that this development, the customization of products and the wish of expressing individuality does not seem to find an end, and even goes to segments and even goes to products that are absolutely not important, like M&Ms. M&Ms gives you the possibility these days to individualize your M&Ms. You can choose the colors and you have a little place, a little space for the text you want to print on it. So you can use it for your personal messages. Very often it is used to ask your partner if he wants to marry you. So marry me, do you want to marry me? This is the space what you can use these M&Ms for. And that shows very clearly that with this, such a product has a very big meaning. I mean, if it decides about your future, if you live together with another person or not, then these M&Ms have such a personal meaning you will never forget. And it has its price. It's interesting, the prices you have to pay for these personalized M&Ms. The most premium price you can pay there are $179 for Orfor's Waterways gift tower. Don't ask me what this is, but it's expensive. The latest evolution of that trend comes from Germany. This is a German example, My Müsli. It is founded by students who thought, in the internet you have the choice to choose everything. You can choose the article you want to read, you can choose the clothes you want to have, but if you want to have your personalized muesli, that's not possible. So with this, you have 566 trillion possible variations. And it's the same here. It's more expensive than the standard offer. So individuality has very high premium price. Chris Anderson, he pointed it out in his brilliant book, The Long Tail, that the niche markets are the new mass markets. That we have more individual tastes, that we have more individual styles and needs than the mainstream markets could serve. And with the internet, we have endless shelf space, where you are not limited. Now you can explore these niche markets and give the people the niche products they want to have. With these new niche markets, we have another development, we have another trend. The trend of new me markets, the trend towards businesses that are run by the consumers themselves, because there's no producer who is serving these niche markets, or maybe it doesn't make any sense in an economical sense to serve these niche markets. That's why we have all these online platforms like Etsy. Etsy, the global leader for handmade art and accessories. More than 50,000 sellers, more than 1 million sales after 1 year. The founder, Robert Cullen, says, this movement is greater than all Walmarts worldwide. Well, sure, that's not true if you look at the profits. But if you look from a philosophical perspective, then it's really create a big movement. It's a big movement towards creativity. It's a big movement that people are getting creative that were not creative in former times. And I think this is the real story of individualization 2.0. In former times, individualization mainly concerned consumption and leisure time. But in the future, this will focus on how we act, how we work, how we earn our money, and how we create our day. So there's a big, big liberation of man. There's a big liberation of creativity with all the effects it has on our lives. So the story of mankind is the deliverance of the individual. In traditional society, we had the case that gave societies stable order. Case that we also still have in some areas of India. Fate was programmed because you couldn't move upwards. The family in which you were born, that determines what kind of job you had, which partner you married, and how you would spend your life until the end of your life. With the access to education for wider groups, no more people could leave the horizons of their social strata, but they were still imprisoned in social milieus, mostly characterized by income and values. We had the upper class and the lower class. But now these chains are broken by turning to individual lifestyles. And this is the focus of our study debate, individual lifestyles. It's a good story for everybody of us. It's a good story because it tells us we have more freedom to live as we want to live. But of course it's a bad story for marketers, because the segments we had in former times aren't there anymore. And all the old segmentation models we had, they show us the limits. A very famous segmentation model which is used in Germany is the sinus milieus, and I saw that also in the USA, marketers are working with the sinus milieus. You have such segments like the Mavericks, 14% of the Americans, modern middle, 16%. And this is a model that correlates very strongly with education, income, and values. And as you can see, the most belong to the modern middle. But what does it mean to belong to the modern middle? And what does it mean if people have lots in common, but also not a lot in common at the same time? And that's what's happening right now, that we see more segments of people which have very much in common and very much not. One example for me is the creative class that's described by Richard Florida. Creative class, people who work in creative fields of business like you do, in the design business, in advertising agencies. And we have a great variety in that creative class. We have people who have a salary of $150,000 a year, and we have the same people who only have 1/10 of it, $15,000 salary per year. We have the creative director and the self-employed designer. I think both will appreciate the same brands. They will go to Starbucks, they will use an Apple computer, maybe the self-employed designer will buy its Apple computer to a cheap price at eBay, but their priorities are pretty much the same. So these old segmentations have their limits. Another way that marketers do is to go into every niche they can find and to figure out thousands of micro-target groups. This is an example of the PRISM marketing analysis by Claritas. 66 target groups are pointed out here, like the country carrots, the suburban pioneers. There's another publication that's on the market right now by Mark J. Penn, CEO of Burson Stella, and he profiled 75 micro-trends with 75 micro-target groups. Now you have a big variety, but can you address all these different, all these small micro-target groups, it makes it really, really difficult. So we thought we need another model, another perspective on reducing this complexity. In the same way, we needed a model that is robust enough to catch all the important target groups that could be out there. So we tried to find out situations in which people are, new situations that lots of people have on the same time in common. Maybe they're very different from their character, maybe they are very different from their income, but they are in the same situation. And I found the example yesterday, the mode maps, very interesting. The mode maps that described healthcare patients. Healthcare patients are very different. You have rich ones, you have poor ones, but you can do a very good segmentation by segmenting them by their disease. These ones who have cancer, these ones who have diabetes. So with the same perspective, we tried to look at the people. Are there similar situations? And the starting point for this study was looking at modern biographies. Modern biographies have changed very much. In former times, and not a long time ago, we had the three-phase biography. Youth and education, beginning of the life, then work or family life. Mostly for men it was work, for women it was family life, and then retirement. Switching on TV, sitting on a chair and waiting for the death. That described reality a very long time. Today, we still have youth and education, of course, but there's a new interesting life phase coming up, post-adolescence. It's a life phase where grown-ups reject to get an adult. And that's the freedom you have nowadays. Even until 40 you can behave like a teenager. And you don't have any problems with this. Then you have work and family life, the rush hour of life. And then another interesting life phase, the second breakup. Finding back your youth, founding again a family, starting a new career, and then retirement, maybe, probably not. So you have much more options, but these two interesting new life phases, post-adolescence and second breakup, they bring up challenges and new answers to these challenges. Why shouldn't we retire with 35? For lots of people that could make sense. Why shouldn't we have time when we found a family? Nowadays we don't have this time. We try to earn much money, but we do not have time for the family. So in the Netherlands, they make an offer for the people to have more flexibility in their biography. There's a model where you can take away the money that you had before, paid into tax-exempt funds for your pension. And if you want, you can take that money, if you're 30 or 40 or whatever, when you need it. And now people think about it. Shouldn't I work until 80? Shouldn't I work maybe longer, but have time when I'm 30, when I want to found a family and want to enjoy the pleasures of family? So that's, I think, a very clever idea and a very good innovation of giving people more freedom, more possibilities to live their individual lifestyles. So, lifestyle of the futures mean that we will find new solutions for new challenges. Values are changing, and one value that changed is that people want to spend more time with their family. So why not have a retirement if you're young in working if you are odd. We see these new answers to new challenges, and we found out 11 very interesting lifestyle groups in younger ages, like the in-betweens, and young globalists. I don't have the time to explain all of it, but all of these new lifestyle groups found a new interesting answer to a new challenge. In the middle segment, we have the reinvention of family, like the network family. These are family forms who have their neighbors, their therapists, their doctors, whatever, in the center of the family, which plays an important role in family life. We have much more patchwork families, and people adapt to these patchwork families and create new models and see it not as a negative aspect, but as an avant-gardistic thing of living family. We have the WRB families, very important baby families. It's a growing segment in the United States. These ones who get babies very late, and of course, the baby that they have very late is very important. So they give this baby everything it could need for its growth. That's what pushes the Baby Einstein videos that are bestseller here in the United States. In the older age, we also have new answers. We have the super grannies challenge. And this challenge is how to manage the freedom you have. There was never a generation who had so much freedom than this one. And freedom also means unsafety. You don't know what the future brings. This is what one young person wrote in an essay competition. We know so many ways to create our life like no other generation before. We have got the possibility to do whatever we think is right. That sounds quite great, but has ever anybody wondered if it's in fact great? So you have all these possibilities, but it also means the choice you make can be the wrong choice. And you never know where it leads. That's why young people are quite optimistic, and that counts for the Europeans. I'm pretty sure it's not so much different here in the United States. But there's also half of the young people who think about the future so-so. Could be good, but also could be bad. I don't know. So you need to prepare for that situation. You need to manage that unsafety. You need to manage freedom. The in-betweens was one of these youth lifestyle groups. The in-betweens are always in between two situations. They never make a decision. That's how they have the options always very big, because they never decide. They have two places where they live. They have two partners which they love. They're always in between. That's the strategy. Another strategy is what the young globalists do. The young globalists, they're very ambitious, and they know if future is absolutely unsafe, the best insurance against this is education. And we never had a generation who valued education so much as this young generation, who does high investments in education, who is prepared to have changing jobs, who studies abroad, mostly use private universities and colleges. And these young globalists, of course, they need new offers for new needs, especially in the field of education. They need a multicultural education, an education which gives the opportunity and freedom to study and to work later wherever the best chances are. A very interesting project for me is the scholarship. It's a project where lots of different universities came together. University of Ghana, for example, but also the Cardiff University of United Kingdom. And it's the combination of a cruise ship and a university program. 600 students, 8 nations, they travel to 4 continents, and you can make your master degree whatever. I think this is a very charming idea and very good design solution for new offers, for new needs. The young globalists, they live in new life contexts, and I think whenever it's about designing solutions for them, it's about concentrating and focusing on these life contexts. One offer that is directly going to these young globalists is the Yotel, a new hotel form that was created at London Heathrow, a 40-cabin hotel. It's very small, the rooms, only 10 square meter, but with flat screen internet access. And you can book it only for 4 hours if you want. Why should you always stay for, and why should you always pay for 24 hours in a hotel if you need it only for 4 hours? And maybe this is the answer for Starbucks, how to evolutionate their offers. Offer living rooms in the public that are really relaxation stations. The internet cafes in Japan, and everybody has internet access these days. You shouldn't need internet cafes, but in Japan, the internet cafes now offer massages, a library, entertainment offers, relaxation, shots, showers, so that you can spend the time if you're on the move. And of course, another need is communication, stable relationships. If you're always on the move, that's very hard to keep on your relationships. So we need better solutions for that. Solutions that go far beyond making contacts at MySpace or Facebook. Living Memory, that's a project by Philips Design, is one of these new ideas that could help people having relationships easier if they are for a long time away and if they are on the move. The concept of living memory, which started as a 3 years European Commission funded project, is that you have interfaces of communication in places where you usually don't have these interfaces. So in coffee shop tables or at bus stations, where you are when you're on the move. And it's very easy to share information, to share local information with these interfaces. You have little tokens, and if you put the token in this ceramic bowl, then they know this is you and you get contact to your local community. So very easy, very smart. And the interesting thing, what they found out, that's also a communication form that older people really appreciate. So this should be the transfer to the pension dropouts, and there are very many similarities between the young people and the older people. Breakup, this is what the young people and the old people have in similarity. Retirement belongs to yesterday. We will have a generation that denies to retire in the future. Let me ask in the audience, who of you wants to retire with, let's say, 65? No one. So everybody of you wants to work until 80, 90? Probably. I don't know, but much more people, they decide not to retire. There's a big mobility going on in the older aged generation. People like Hilmar Schinkus. Hilmar Schinkus with his 63 years, who after retirement went again to university, studies history. And he moved from Bonn to Berlin, to the capital of Germany, because there is just more going on. They move into the cities, old people. Not because of the medical services, this may be an argument too, but mostly because there's just more going on. They appreciate the urban diversity. They appreciate to have Starbucks, and they are bored sitting in their big houses on the countryside idle, and they want to move to the cities. They share their big houses to the lofts in the cities. More than half of the population right now in the world lives in big cities. And this process is going on. And it's also going on because older people, they leave the country field. For the ones, it's a second breakup. For the other ones, it's housebreaking. This picture shows two 73 and 74 years old housebreakers. It took a long time to catch them because they were so fast and always away when the police came. That's really a problem for prisons. What do you do with these criminals aged over 70 years? Before, criminals and prisoners made anti-aggressive trainings, but they don't need anti-aggressive trainings. They do theater workshops. We have 3 times more criminals over 60 years than we had 10 years ago. But you shouldn't be afraid of these pensioners making problems. Most will decide to work later. Most will decide to define themselves as a silverpreneur, as we call them, because silver, the gray hair, and entrepreneur. Starting a second career, staying in their old career until they are 70, 75, whatever. Lots of them will do it to have more income, but much more will do it because they want to be mentally challenged, because they want to have contact to other people and stay in their network. And they are needed. We have lots of companies where as much as 40% will retire in the next 5 years. So these companies will be empty if they won't find a way to keep these older people in their companies. And the governments need to change. The governments are on duty to change this. In America, for example, pension schemes will often withhold benefits from a retired if he's working. So this cannot be the solution for the future. These solopreneurs, older working people, they do have new needs, they need new offers. This one could be one offer for them. Connect 18, a San Francisco-based startup, bringing together physical training and brain training. So in a group, you do the cycling, and at the same time you have a language class. You have it in a group, because running a group functions much better, of course, next years. And people, they don't want to study, everybody wants to study philosophy or history, these things. Most of them want to be needed. They want to go to the Chinese and Indian places where Siemens and IBM are constructing new companies and enterprises. That's why they want to become senior consultants. In Germany, the first study institution, the first academic institution for students over 50 now was founded, especially for people over 50. Well, the motivation is good, I think, bringing all the people back to the universities and train them as senior consultant, that they have their place in the normal economy system. But it should be much better to bring them in the normal universities and bring them in contact with the young people. So for me, the biggest need is for social innovation. For social innovation that goes along with this new future society, where there's breakup for young people, breakup for old people, where we'll have an aging population and an aging workforce which is running the economy. One of these social innovations is Erfahrung Deutschland. In translation, it would be Experience Germany, and it's the largest online platform for retired executives with over 4,000 members. We need more of these social innovations. What does it all mean for design research? Designers need to go beyond the straitjackets of consumer needs, and they need a consumer approach and move to a social-led approach based on social research and social innovation. So forget about age. That's what seniors products, that's what products for seniors will look like. They are fast, they are stylish, they are fancy, and they have a young image. They follow a universal design, not a senior design. And focus on context. These are ways of living tomorrow. We have the 13-year-old student, a high school student, which is in the same way a CEO of a startup company. This is the CEO of Elementeo. Anshu Sama, he invented a fantasy role-playing board game to learn chemistry. We have these new ways of living. On the other hand, we also have Markus Studer, with 61 years, an ex-sergeant, now self-employed trucker. For sure not the typical trucker, but that's possible. That's what defines life in the future. So it won't be easy to segment population, to segment markets. The only thing you can do is focus on the situation. Focus on the situation, not on the segment. And focus on priorities and not on the income. And find out what the needs are and not what the styles are. That's Design for Life for me. Josephine Green, Senior Director of Trends and Strategy Design at Philips Design, she wrote, in the context economy, value is generated less through the selling and buying of goods and more through an ecosystem of information, services, experiences, and solutions. I think that's very intelligent and very clever expressed. It makes your work much richer, and every product can be such an ecosystem. Every product can be transforming vehicle for a new lifestyle. For example, a yogurt. A yogurt doesn't need to be a yogurt. A yogurt was the winner of the latest social design network competition this year. This yogurt was called Yoplait, designed by Barry De Gas from Italy, and it was a yogurt packaging that doubles as a modular construction toy. And the parts fit together in different ways to create hollow, lightweight, 3D shapes and figures. So it was a learning tool. In the future it will be about transformation, and this would be your task to make this transformation possible. Good luck with this. I'm at the end. Now it's your work. Thank you very much for your attention.